14 divided by 4 weeks of pay, that would be $378.50 a week. All right? Now, $378.50 divided by 168 hours of being on call, you end up with $2.25 per hour. Now, I had used another system because I began to look at the number of hours that we put in a month as the rate of pay. I'm not trying to tell the veterans that how they should be living, but I would like to tell them, this bow tie is really something. I really would like them to know that, we should have a better rate of pay. And when we're talking about what you're doing to the budget, you don't have a whole lot of people that answer the call of duty. It's not that I'm trying to say that we don't, but when you look at the fact of the matter that we have people that are on duty and they have to globetrot around the world, we need to make sure that they get an hourly rate that is worthy of them. Because, Stephanie, do you know any active duty in your area that use food banks?
I didn't realize that there was active duty food bank. I know the Airman Addict has there.
There are food banks down by Camp Pendleton that our men and women depend on in between payday. There are food banks in New Jersey, not far from McGuire Air Force Base, where active duty rely on them to suffice between paydays. Now, if this is happening there, where else is it happening? I'm not going to be ungrateful, and I think that the men and women need to be recognized who serve by being told thank you for your service, but give them something to live by. I don't think that what we're talking about is so unreasonable.
No, it's not the people who don't understand the struggle. On paper, it looks like they're getting paid a whole lot, but they don't truly understand the struggle.
What is going on with this bow tie? I'm having a time today. I'm sorry, audience, that it looks crooked. In a minute, I'm just going to untie it on air because it just seems to want to do what it wants to do. That being said, I'm at the point where I just want people to realize that while I bemoan this point, the reason why I bemoan it is because of the fact of the matter, our active duty can't speak up for themselves. They can't speak up for themselves. And we owe it to them to speak up for them. There we go. We owe it to them to speak up for them. So what I would say to them is that we need your support. This is where you have to really think about what thank you for your service means. And that is that when it's time to put food on the table or pay the rent, that they should have a salary that's befitting their labor. We fight for commerce. Commercial means so that we can have free trade, and free trade is inclusive of commerce. And with that being said, with the lives of our young men and women going out and having to give their youth, their health, sometimes even their life, we deserve to make sure that these men and women that come behind us are treated fairly. And this is why we do America's Disabled Veterans in Action. Am I right? Steph?
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Okay.
You know, I know the struggle with children, and it's really hard. You know, when their classmates are much better than they do, and they don't understand, they don't get to see their mommy or their daddy, whoever is in, and there's no equalizer other than patriotism, which is hard to keep up when you're a child. You'd rather have your mom or your dad. You know, you may not get the new Xbox, but maybe some used games in an Xbox. Not that life revolves around the Xbox, but you know what I mean.
You gotta have something for entertainment. You know, I always feel that the men and women who serve this country are a special breed. And when I say that they're a special breed, what's the percentage of men and women that go into the military, Stephanie?
What did we do? What for the military?
What's the percentage of men and women that go into the military? How many out of the population? Do you know the percentages?
I thought it was like 1 or 2%.
That's minuscule, isn't it? Compared to the entire population, 100% of the population and only 1% serve. That makes it so that if we have less than 1% of the population that serves in the military and our government cannot pay them an honest wage, it's not that I'm trying to be dishonest here or disingenuous, but $2.13 an hour, $2.25 per hour, or whatever it is, $2 is outrageous. We expect these men and women to go globetrotting around the globe, and they don't have enough money. But they will tell us that they're going to give a 2.6% raise. They will tell us that they get also BAQ. But they don't tell us that they cut the BAQ. If you marry someone else in the military, only one of you are BAQ. So the thing is that we make sacrifices in trying to join the military and give jurisdiction to the United States. It's only the one time that I know of that you actually can see a contract between you and the federal government that gives them jurisdiction, because you signed that contract saying that you will serve with up to your life. And I believe that those men and women who served and those that are on active duty should always have the benefit of the doubt, because they are a rare breed. They are a rare breed that raise their hands and join the United States military. And I think that that's a wonderful thing, because it shows commitment to this country.
No, it's funny. I'm not funny, ha-ha. But when it comes down to pay and disability, if they were to do that to the civilians, especially those members of unions, it would never hold.
Well, we try to keep ourselves ready to do and to help. And it's a hard job, because people think that veterans get too much. I've heard arguments in court litigation where if a veteran is a homeowner and they have a problem, they brought it up that the veterans are always begging for something. They're always looking for something and different things like that. I don't remember that being said when the draft went voluntary and people are still willing to raise their hands to go and to serve. Not everybody does it, but for men and women that do, we owe them a lot more than just thank you for your service. Thank you for your service is the least you can say, but it needs to have some value when it comes to helping a man or a woman survive, to put food on their table for their families, to put food on their table for themselves. We have to pay the laborer their due. And that means that we start with the active duty, and we also do the same for our veterans. We have to. It's something that we keep bringing up for the purposes of discussion because we have a Congress that is hostile to talking about labor issues and talking about what are fair wages. It's nice that we are told that we get little other perks, but we owe the men and women who serve a little bit better. I remember, Stephanie, when I went into the military, I think I got maybe $200 per payday.
That's about right. 400 for a month.
So I'm not talking about something that is historically been an overpayment. But what I'm suggesting to our nation is that we talk to our congressmen and women about the fact, hey, Frankie, talk about the fact, the matter that our pay scales should be much greater. We're talking about the pay scales for the active duty and the 2.6% pay raise that's proposed in the presidential budget. I don't mean to sound ungrateful, but they're saying that that's like a nickel per hour, for the enlisted. It's a little bit more for warrant officers and just a little bit more for the officer grade. So what I was looking at one point, the Pentagon last year was looking at a study of eliminating enlisted pay and eliminating officers' pay to kind of make it a standard pay deal. I don't know how that would work, but what I think that we do owe is the men and women who are actually in active duty a little bit more than substandard pay. And because these men and women have to jump around the world. You don't begin to make minimum wage until you are like 10 years, and maybe if you're an E6, E7, you're E7, you begin to break the $7 an hour barrier. But the thing is that it shouldn't be that way. The men and women who are in the military should be able to have a reasonable rate of pay. And before people get happy talking about 2.6%, when you add that to $2.35 an hour as a standard rate of pay, it's not very much. And we're talking about less than 1% of the population that joins. This is why it's important to realize that our nation needs to do better by our active duty and our veterans. We have all this money that we can give to tax breaks, to companies to support commerce, but to those of us that raise our hand and go to swear an oath to the United States Constitution, which I think that every one of us should read. And we should know. It's important. That document it's been something that we have to look at, we need to study, something that we're